is stationary in the mid-Atlantic with winds from 104 to 127 miles an hour. You can bet the British Isles has its eye on that. Tropical Storm Charlie is off the African coast with winds from 52 to 63, and Tropical Storm Danielle is about 300 miles west of the Charleston area, and it's heading out into the Atlantic with light winds from 52 to 63 miles an hour, and we'll keep an eye on those. In the Pacific, we have 3 hurricanes. Rosalind is halfway to Hawaii. Seymour is about 500 miles to the south-southwest of San Diego, and Tina is about 500 miles to the south-southwest of Puerto Vallarta. They're all moving in a westerly direction between 5 and 8 miles an hour. Back home, we have a system that runs from the northeast all the way down to the southern portion of Texas, and high pressure is taking back the bulk of the nation. Warm air is returning up and around, and as a consequence, we expect to find, and did find, record highs over the north-central portion of the country. As we set things in motion, you'll notice how the flow is going up. Well, that's exactly the way the air is coming up, and so we wound up with record highs covering an area that goes all the way from Rapid City, where they went to 97, Williston was up in the 90s, all the way over to Salt Lake, which was in the 90s, down to Yuma, Arizona, which was 100 degrees for a new record high today. In the national scene, we went from the 20s, Pinedale, Wyoming, and we went all the way up to 113 degrees at Death Valley. Let's take a look now around our area as we pop up the numbers, and you get to see the 50s. 56 in Cleveland, the cool spot in the country, but you can see the wedge of cool air. Now, that return flow is going to start shoving its way into the Great Lakes. So while tomorrow we can expect record lows, frost and freeze warnings posted from Michigan down to Virginia and Maryland and up to New England, we can expect that all to be replaced. Indian summer will indeed come. The definition of Indian summer, a warm spell after the first frost. They're going to get it. In the far west, we see the warmth, the rain that fell up in the Portland and Seattle areas, anywhere from a half to a quarter of an inch up at the Quileute area, on 104, the warm spot on the map, and that was in Phoenix. For our state, we went from the 60s up to the hundreds, from 67 at Eureka to 113 degrees at Death Valley. The Central Valley did cool a bit up in the north with 88 at Redding, but it was a beautiful sunshiny day over the area, and generally speaking, temperatures in the central portion of the state went up anywhere from 2 to 6 degrees. The cool spot this morning was Bernie at 30 degrees to go with 113 at Death Valley. And around our area, well, we had 56s. Did you like 56 for a morning low? Because we had it in Santa Rosa. We wound up with it down in San Rafael, again in Pinole, and again over in Pittsburgh. And we wound up with 86s showing up again at, who is that? That's Sonoma. I can't read the things. 86 at Concord and also at Walnut Creek. But we can beat it with the Danville coming in at a 90, and the cool spot is a 52, and that's at Livermore, and 54 to 79. That was the range in Santa Cruz. For Channel 7, we went from 58 to 70. That is 3 degrees above and 3 degrees below the season norm. We're at 64 right now with 85% humidity. Yes, there will be a marine layer tonight. 29.92 and steady the pressure. The winds are west at 14 and gusting to 26 miles an hour. The approaching fronts turned into a single front since 11:30 today with a post-frontal trough. The southern end is dying, but it's acting as a squeegee, and as it comes in, it will take whatever moisture is available between the front and us and increase the marine layer and push it farther inland. But since the front's going to get through here with dry air, cooler air, about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, we can look for the ridge to build in by afternoon. But because of the temperature being controlled by pressure difference, the winds are going to have a lot to do with that, and we're going to have a pretty status quo. But look for Saturday to pop up maybe 10 degrees, and the only thing we're worried about, the only mitigating circumstance we might have, is tropical moisture coming up from Seymour. We place it in motion. You can see the Seymour is sort of losing its identity, so I'm not really worried about the high clouds. There was one thunderstorm over Laguna today with some small hail, and they had about 1/3 of an inch of rain. See how thin the marine layer was this morning? Cleared very early, but there's the front. It will take whatever moisture is available, and it will give it to us. By the way, small craft advisories are up north of the Bay Bridge, and outside tomorrow, winds will be from the northwest 10 to 25 in the afternoon. The seas will be running about 4 feet, and the swells northwest about 7 feet. In the North Bay, 78 to 80. In the East Bay, anywhere up to 86. The South Bay from 76 to 80. The city areas, we can expect a 70 in San Francisco and Oakland to 74. And the forecast for tonight, remember the squeegee is coming in, so coastal fog, low clouds, pockets of drizzle that will be moving inland. Lows will be in the 50s. And tomorrow, it'll be sunny. Wind will be from the northwest up to 25 in the afternoon. So that will hold what would otherwise be a warming day to 64 to 84 degrees. And our letter from home, for the first full day of fall, I thought you'd love. Huh? Becky Zamala, who's 9 years old and goes to Christ King School in Pleasant Hill, gave us a great picture.
Parachuting out of a tree.
Storms and high tides. Not a good weekend, I guess, Peter, to fly to the East Coast.
No, and you know what they're doing? Exactly what they learned not to do in Andrew. They're going to have parties along the coast.
Oh, no.
Yes, and we have Tropical Storm Danielle covering this area, mixed in with a cold front that you just see the tail of. But right now, watches are posted from as far south as Virginia to as far north as Connecticut, as Danielle is paralleling the coast at about 13 miles an hour, and we have no idea as to when it's coming in, and you can see what happened to one house. Not a good place to go have a party when a hurricane's coming. Hurricane Rosalind is now about 600 miles from the big island of Hawaii. It's moving to the west at 8 miles an hour. That's a slowdown of 5 since this morning. The computer is forecasting it to turn to the northwest, but I sure wouldn't bet on it. And winds 75 to 90 miles an hour. Back home, we start out with a system over the southeast. It's combined with the warm air coming in from Danielle, and then a blast of chilly air coming down into an already cool situation as that last system came through. Tina is still in the picture, and it will be moving in a westerly direction eventually. Right now, it's just stalled around 300 miles south of the Cabo San Lucas area. Let's set things in motion, and you'll see how the blast of air stays well to the north, even though all of the cloudiness associated with Danielle is held over the east coast. Now, winter is not very far away. 64-mile-an-hour winds at Fort Collins and over 2 inches of snow at Rand, both in Colorado, prove that. And along the east coast, there's been 3.5 inches of rain so far at Charlottesville, Virginia, that caused local flooding. And the flooding that was in the Jacksonville area, it still hasn't finished. That's from those very heavy rains of yesterday. Washington, D.C., so far this afternoon, has had over 3/4 of an inch of rain. The national extremes from 19 degrees at Pinedale, Wyoming, to 108 degrees at Laughlin, Nevada. And nationally, a fall-colored map. Take a look at the yellows and the greens and the oranges. We went from 57 degrees at Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, to 103 degrees at Phoenix. For our state, well, you can have warmth if you want it. You can travel along the coast, but look at the valley. All in the 80s. As the easterly winds, it actually keeps them cool. Picks up a lot of dust, by the way. There's all kinds of blowing dust in the valley. Then gets over to us, and it is at its warmest. The cool spot this morning, 21 degrees at Truckee. The warm spots this afternoon, 106 at Palm Springs and Thermal. And the coolest for the afternoon highs, 63 up at Eureka. Are you heading up to Lake Tahoe? Alpine on the North Shore, 35 to 66. And Heavenly on the South Shore, woolly weather, 28 to 68. In the Bay Area, Walnut Creek comes in with a cool spot at a 50 to share with 95s at Santa Rosa and Sonoma, the warmest anywhere in the Bay Area today. The other 50 to share with Walnut Creek was at Pacifica, and if you take a look around the Bay Area, you can see that indeed we were warm, the warmest 90 at San Jose. And down at Santa Cruz, a great day, 51 to 83. For Channel 7, we were 5 in the morning, then 10 in the afternoon, degrees above the seasonal norm, and we're still at 78 degrees, dry, 33%, and we're only a block from the water, 29, 79 falling the pressure, winds are west at 6. Tropical Storm Seymour, it's about 900 miles to the west of Cabo San Lucas, and it's dying. There's a system over the Gulf of Alaska we'll keep an eye on, but the main feature is the high pressure system that just doesn't allow anything to come into its reign, and so we stayed high and dry. Small craft advisories are posted for you sailors tomorrow from the Oregon border all the way down to Point Conception and in San Francisco Bay. The winds north to northeast from 10 to 20 knots with gusts to 25 knots. The seas to 3 feet. The swells to 9 feet. Exercise caution. The visible picture today, clear as a bell. Well, how about your temperatures tomorrow? In the North Bay, 90 to 94. In the East Bay, 88 to 96. In the South Bay, 88 to 90. The city areas, San Francisco and 86, Oakland and 88. And it is Friday. I never thought I'd get here. The weather is taking a hot, dry turn. Please be careful of anything that'll burn. The temperatures from the 50s to the 90s. And our letter from home today, yeah, it's going to be a hot one. It's going to shrink the trees. Ruby Padilla, who is in the 3rd grade at Notre Dame Elementary School, gave us that great picture. Thanks, Ruby.